Hey everyone, Motorola has long been known for its budget and mid-range phones. With the One Vision, they're introducing a slightly more modern form factor and a more powerful chipset. But is that enough for you to buy this phone? I'm Angie for GSMArena, and this is our Motorola One Vision review. From far away, you might not guess that this is a Motorola phone because it's missing the classic circular camera bump on the back. Instead, the camera setup has been moved to the left, and only with the M logo on the fingerprint reader does it become obvious who the manufacturer is. It works quickly enough, and it's much more secure than the Face ID option, which only uses the front camera. However, I wish the phone still had the main camera setup in the middle, because now the phone wobbles a lot more when it's on a flat surface. That said, it looks really good for a phone at its price, and it's made of premium materials. The Moto One Vision is a slim device with a beautiful blue gradient that darkens in the middle of the phone. It feels sturdy and it's comfortable to hold, and the buttons are nice and clicky. Since the 21:9 aspect ratio allows the phone to be so slim, it's actually quite easy to use one-handed too. It can be slippery, but that's unsurprising since the back of the phone is made of glass. I'd use it with the case and keep it far away from water though, since it's rated only up to IP52, which is pretty standard for a phone at this price. Audio-wise, the Moto One Vision performs pretty well. It has a single downward-facing speaker next to the USB-C port on the bottom, and both loudness and audio clarity were excellent. The One Vision has a headphone jack on the top, which practically feels like an extra these days. It too allows for sound with good clarity, although the phone might struggle to achieve higher volume levels. There's also a microSD card slot, just in case 64GB isn't enough for you. Really, the biggest issue with this Moto One is that it doesn't have a notch. Yeah, I never thought I'd say that sentence either. However, the Moto One's hole punch is large and incredibly difficult to ignore. Since it's on the left side of the screen, it's asymmetrical, it cuts off a good chunk of the UI in many apps, and worst of all, it causes light bleed in the corner of the display. It would have been a much better design choice for Motorola to just stick the camera in a regular notch. With Android Pie already supporting notches, there wouldn't be a software problem either. Like I said, the One Vision's 6.3 IPS LCD screen has a crazy slim 21:9 aspect ratio. It's cinematic, but there's so much 16:9 content out there that a lot of the time you'll end up with big black bars on the side of the video that's playing. The phone isn't very color accurate either, no matter what mode you choose. However, at 464 nits, maximum brightness is good and contrast is automatically adjusted, so sunny days aren't a problem. As far as battery life is concerned, the One Vision scored an underwhelming 67 hours on our endurance tests. This makes it fall short in comparison to many competitors at its price. It can charge from 0 to 38% in half an hour, thanks to its 15-watt charger, but I'd still carry around a portable power bank if I were you. We're actually not exactly sure why the battery life is so low, especially since the Exynos 9609 should be a rather power-efficient chipset. At least performance is very good. In single-core performance, it was bested only by the Galaxy A50, and in general, it's plenty fast, doesn't heat up, and offers good performance across the board. What makes the phone even faster is that it's running a very vanilla version of Android Pie. Since it's part of the Android One family, it'll get major OS updates for the next 2 years, and security updates for the next 3. It's not entirely bare-bones Android, and there are some Moto additions, but they're minimal. There's a karate chop gesture to turn the flashlight on and off, and a twist motion that launches the camera app. There's also a bar for navigation purposes instead of buttons, but you can always switch it back to regular Android Pie navigation if you want to. There's also the Motorola camera app, and that's pretty much it. The Moto One Vision has an optically stabilized 48-megapixel main camera and a 5-megapixel depth sensor. Auto HDR is enabled by default, and it stacks multiple images for clearer shots with a better dynamic range. In daylight, photos have unsurprisingly excellent dynamic range, low noise, and lively and accurate colors. Details are great too, although the HDR can mess them up if they're more intricate. Without HDR, shots can be sharper, but in most cases you're just giving up the improved dynamic range. Thanks to the OIS, in low light, photos surpass most phones in its class. It also has a dedicated night mode that boosts shadows and colors. It's not perfect, but it's among the best you can get in a mid-ranger. Portraits have flagship-level background separation and even allow you to adjust the blur as you'd like. The phone has a 25-megapixel selfie camera with a fixed focus. It can take up to 6 seconds to shoot a picture in full 25-megapixel resolution, but if you're patient and get the distance right, you can get some amazingly detailed shots. If you're more pressed for time, it can also output a 6-megapixel photo. There's a lot less detail, but colors are still excellent. Portraits with the selfie camera are okay, but the results varied a lot depending on the background and the hairstyle of the subject. The One Vision can record optically stabilized 4K video at 30 FPS. Details are only okay, but colors, exposure, and dynamic range are really good. The same is true for videos in Full HD, which are naturally quite a bit less detailed. The Moto One Vision is a very good phone, and it's dependable across the board. It even has a great build quality and a surprisingly good camera for its price. However, the battery life is not amazing and the hole punch is pretty distracting, so it's facing some serious competition from the likes of the Galaxy A50 and the Moto G7 Plus. So you should only get this phone if it's not too expensive in your area in comparison to the competition, and if you want the best camera for the price. Oh, and if you don't mind that hole punch. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button down below, subscribe and hit the bell icon, and I'll see you next time.